Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. A lot to discuss about on the Braves front. We haven't been with you since last Wednesday, but in a way, I think that's a good thing, right? I would have came on here, I would have complained about the trade deadline, and I think for good reason. But now we got to see why I would have complained right in action in front of our very eyes, which this offense, as I said, quantity over quality. Go out there and get 3 to 4 guys to replace Eddie Rosario, replace Adam Duvall, Jared Kelenic. Those guys do not need to be in the lineup every single day. And what do the Braves do? They go out and get one guy, and a pretty good guy in Jorge Soler. I know he hasn't had a ton of success, but not too worried about that. I think we know what Jorge Soler is going to bring to this offense. But one guy, this offense wasn't one guy away. You have 3 guys starting every single day until Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies get back that shouldn't even really be on major league rosters, and they definitely shouldn't be starting every day for a team with World Series aspirations. Like I don't want to say the Braves punted, but I have no idea what they were doing. And I also don't want to hear, oh, they didn't have the prospects to do it. They got Jorge Soler for a guy that wasn't even their top 30 prospects, a guy that was drafted last year and it has a 700 OPS and high A roam. They could have gone out there and gotten several bodies. Why they didn't do it, whether it was a money issue, whether I don't even really want to hear it. I don't frankly care. It's not my job to do that. You guys got to figure out how to upgrade the roster. And to tell me you're going to punt on a season with this pitching staff when every other team has holes. Like, go look around the league. The Yankees have a lot of holes in their lineup. The Phillies, we've watched them drop 13 out of their last 17 games. Like, there's no team in Major League Baseball for the first time since early 2000s that's on pace to win 100 games. Like, this is a crapshoot of all crapshoots. You get in with this pitching staff and a decent lineup, you have a chance. Yep. And that's what the Braves are hoping on, and that's why they supposedly didn't go get someone and are hoping Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies can get healthy. Guess what? You got to get to the postseason to have a chance, and that's my biggest worry right now.
It's kind of crazy. That is not a strategy. Like, if it works out, great, fine, but this is not a strategy. This is, at this point, luck. Adam Duvall is the only one other than Kelenic, and Adam Duvall and Jared Kelenic need to be platooning. I think Duvall has done kind of what the Braves expected. He's just in a role that the Braves didn't expect. But going into the trade deadline, we knew that. We knew that Adam Duvall needs to be in a platoon role. He can't be starting every day. And Eddie Rosario and Ramon Laureano don't need to be on the team. So that was what Chase's point was we just need guys. We don't need all-stars, but we just need guys to kind of regulate the everyday guys, either to bench roles or completely off the team. And now down the stretch, we're 2 weeks-ish away from seeing Michael Harris. We're still 2 weeks away, 10-ish, 12-ish games. I don't know how many off days we have over that period. 10-ish, 12-ish games between Michael Harris returning. So we're going to see 2 of Eddie Rosario, Ramon Laureano, and Adam Duvall probably starting every single day, unless Jorge Soler and Jared Kelenic are going to be starting. Like, it's a pathetic display for a team with arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. It can only get you so far. And what pisses me off even further is that, injuries, that's a valid excuse, and this team is going to get healthier, hopefully. But also, you're counting on those guys. Like, this is the biggest worry to me, is you saw Max Fried return from a mini IL stint, and he struggled. And that's not shocking. That's to be expected. But nobody's worried about Max Fried's longevity. Like, he'll come back out and probably throw 7 scoreless or something crazy. Like, hitting is completely different. Like, expecting Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies to come back, Ozzie Albies more so. Like, Ozzie Albies going to return, and then the Braves are going to be in October. Maybe. We're going to expect those guys to immediately come in and contribute at a significant level. That's hopes and prayers right there. Like, this entire stretch run is going to be defined by luck, in my opinion, from the Braves.
Well, listen,
injury
there's
luck.
No doubt that the Braves at the end of the day are going to have to rely on guys like Matt Olson, Orlando Arcia, Michael Harris, and Ozzie Albies coming back or playing better in their respective roles. Like, those are guys that I understand you couldn't really upgrade. You just got to hope. Like, that understanding thing, you can hope there because those are your guys. Like, and I know the injuries suck, but those are your guys. What you don't have to hope on is Whit Merrifield, Eddie Rosario, Adam Duvall, and Jared Kelenic.
To bridge you there.
You did not have to hope on those guys. Oh. And so placing your hope in Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris and Matt Olson and Orlando Arcia, totally fine. Braves don't really have much of a choice. Those guys have track records of success. You got to hope that those guys come around and play well like they haven't in previous Octobers, right? And listen, baseball is a funny game. We say it all the time. Totally possible that they could do that. And that's the way that the Braves were going to run things. Like, that's understandable. Like I said, though, Whit Merrifield, Eddie Rosario, Adam Duvall, Jared Kelenic, hoping with those guys, that's what's going to end up potentially costing the Braves a playoff spot. And I'm telling you, I'm sitting here today, and I don't want to get too negative because you know me, I'm positive. I still think the Braves could go and win a World Series. But if you go and miss the playoffs this year, right, which is a very possible thing. The Mets are a game and a half, and they're the last team out of
inexcusable.
That is so bad general managing from Alex Anthopoulos, a guy that I sit on here and praise more often than not, call him one of the best GMs. It is an inexcusable act of general managing if this team does not make the postseason. I'm sorry. That's all you can say, and you can point directly at this trade deadline. That's really what gets me heated, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist for a man that is so good at what he does. He knows what this team needed. So was it the money thing? Was it really the prospect capital? Are all 30 of the guys in your top 30, you love them that much? They better all come all-stars, right? Because you can't tell me that there weren't deals out there to make this team better, or at least give you insurance policies, start guys over Adam Duvall. I mean, I watched trades get made left and right at the trade deadline by teams that have way less of a chance of winning a World Series than the Atlanta Braves. Like the Pittsburgh Pirates, and there were teams out. The Chicago Cubs are making significant trades. That team's 7 games out of the wild card. So don't sit here and tell me, the Braves are one of, in my opinion, probably 5 or 6 teams with the best chances of winning a World Series, even with the roster they have constructed. Could have been a lot better had they made moves, but there were teams that are behind the Braves that I look at, I'm like, that team doesn't have a chance. Why are they making moves? And I know that's why the sellers market were high, but if they're making moves, why aren't we making moves? That's the question I have. Why not? Why not? And if it's a money thing, come out and say if it's a money thing. If it's the prospect capital was way too high, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy anything you say and be okay with it. But come out and give me a real reason.
I would guess he would say it's a combination of all of those things that you mentioned. It's a combination of Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider being down. It's a combination of how expensive everything is at the trade deadline. It's a combination of them wanting to be in that or the second tax below the third tax tier. I think it's a combination of everything. Alex Anthopoulos isn't going to make this kind of decision just based on one factor. It's a culmination of all kinds of factors. And I think even still considering that rationale, you're still right. You owe it. You're the Atlanta Braves. If you miss the playoffs, that will be one of the biggest choke jobs. And it's not like the Braves had this tremendous lead or anything like that. It's just on a talent for talent basis. That is an absolute choke job. We will never live it down. I don't care how we do the next season. It will be a shame. It will be a sore. Everybody in Braves country will be walking around with their heads down. And Alex Anthopoulos risks that by going into the trade deadline with, quiet intentions. I'm sure maybe there were some deals he wish he had, but overall, you don't come away with Jorge Soler but go into it with the intention of getting a bunch of players. The fact is the Braves never were going to go into the trade deadline with the intention of trading for a bunch of guys. There's no possible way 5 deals fell through. They were always going to come away with just maybe 1 or 2 guys. So I think Alex Anthopoulos is towing a very fine line because, the Braves, on one hand, have the talent, especially in the pitching staff, even with Ronaldo Lopez on the shelf, on the IL, to chase down the Phillies. Because, one, the Braves still have talent and the Phillies are playing bad. But in that same breath, it's a better possibility that we are out of the wild card race by the time we play that August series against the Phillies. Not out of it, but not in one of the wild card spots. That is a distinct possibility. If you're Alex Anthopoulos, your butthole has got to be this tight, thinking, oh my God, this team could miss the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is Alex Anthopoulos is never going to get fired. He doesn't deserve to get fired.
Oh, I didn't
know, but it's just that's the reason why you're able to play, things so safe in this scenario, right? There's absolutely no pressure on you to make these moves. And it's funny because I think Jim Bowden said that he was one of the guys that has no pressure. And the reason you have no pressure is because he's just signed to extension. He's won a World Series. He's won 6 straight division titles. Him looking towards the future, which he's going to be a part of, which you look around the league, that's not the case with a lot of GMs. No. A lot of these guys are GMing because they don't even know if they're going to be here in 2025. When you're Alex Anthopoulos, you do know that. So you do think a little bit differently, but that doesn't change the fact that, you made a mistake. And and if this continues, this trend continues, and listen, it's going to be funny, guys, because this is the exact same conversations you had back in 2021, except you went out there and made moves and you go and win a World Series with a team you probably shouldn't have won the World Series with.
At
least sneak into the playoffs.
Even if we didn't
But you got to sneak into the playoffs.
2021, at least, you know, if things didn't work out, you would say, at least we went for it. At least we gave it we put our best foot forward. That doesn't feel like if things go terribly, terribly wrong over these next 50-ish games, there is no way Alex Anthopoulos can look in the mirror and say, I did the best I could.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that team was under 500 until August. It was under 500, and you weren't in first place, and you weren't really in the wild card race, and you went and got 4 outfielders there. And this team's 10 games over 500, clearly in the wild card race, still has a chance to chase down the Phillies, and you go out and you make one move.
Yeah.
And all you're going to tip here and tell me, it was too much of a seller's market. Well, sometimes, you got to get used to the markets. Markets adjust. And when you have these
I don't think it's going to change. Well, there's not going to be less playoff teams next year.
No, markets adjust. And right now, it's a seller's dream. And it's going to stay that way because there's 12 teams getting in the playoffs. And a lot of teams are right there in the average.
And it's only going to stay that way because even more so because all the teams that are having the most success are those crap teams that nobody's thinking about, that just sneak into the postseason and ended up going on these magical World Series runs because that's baseball. So it's only going to be worse if a team like, a wild card team goes on to, say, the Padres, they make it to a World Series, which is very possible for a team like that. So,
and then you just look around the National League at the future outlook of a lot of these teams. The Cubs think they're up and coming. The Pirates are up and coming. The Padres are always going to be in the business.
Phillies windows wide open.
Yeah, an aggressive GM. The Mets will spend more money than anyone else. The Nationals are up and coming. So the Dodgers. Yeah. So it's like the Diamondbacks.
Brewers are up.
The Diamondbacks got to. So the entire National League, this is what the market is going to be like, whether it's the offseason or the trade market. So if you're going to sit here and just sit on your hands every single time that a deal comes to fruition, you got a chance to make your team better. You're not going to make your team better very often. And not every deal is going to be a Chris Sale deal or Ronaldo Lopez deal. Sometimes you're going to have to give up something and stomach it and hope it works out. Maybe it doesn't, but I'd rather you do that 1 or 2 times in these kind of scenarios than see what we're watching. And this offense for the Braves is going to continue to suck.